Let's talk about locking in your interest rate. When you should lock your rate and what happens if you lock your rate and rates fall. Are you stuck? Let's discuss. I'm Shaheedah Hill, getting you over the hill to home ownership and helping you confidently buy your first home. When you are pre approved, the rate that you're pre approved with is generally floating. It can change with the market. So, as the market changes, it may go up, it may go down. You may get a loan estimate from your lender, and that is based on what the interest rates are at that time. And typically, rates don't go up and down drastically, so it may go up a little bit, go down a little bit throughout the time that you've locked your rate. However, depending on the market, rates may be more volatile and have huge increases over even a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So the longer you are floating your rate, the more at risk you are for rate fluctuations. So you want to be mindful that if you have not locked your rate is not fixed and you're not guaranteed that rate. So when should you lock your rate? It's going to vary, and sometimes it's going to vary by when you're actually going to close on that house. So you may want to float until you get closer to a closing date to make a final decision. And you want to work closely with your lender to figure out when to lock your rate. And I'm also going to give you a link below to a website that gives you recommendations on when you should lock your rate as well. At the very beginning of your pre-approval process, you should talk to your lender about how rate locks work with their company, because some lenders vary their process in how you can lock your rate, how soon you can lock your rate, and how much it may cost you to lock your rate. Lenders get rate sheets every day with rates that can change daily or even multiple times a day. When a lender locks your rate, they're guaranteeing you that rate for a set time. Most typical is either 30 days or 60 days or less. And the cost to lock in that rate for the 30 days or the 60 days is generally included in the cost of your loan. But it's when you go less than that, so say you want a 10-day rate lock, that might cost you a little bit less. And then if you want something longer than a 60-day lock, that might cost you a little bit more. But again, that's going to vary by lender, so you want to have that discussion with them ahead of time. Because especially for extended rate locks, they may charge you for those extended locks and the money may be non-refundable. So if you don't close when you're anticipated to close, or you change your mind about the home, you may lose that money that you've paid up front to extend your lock. Many lenders don't explain the rate lock process to you unless you ask. So it's very important that you ask at the time of pre-approval. Tell me how it works for me to lock my rate. What happens? How much does it cost me? What's the typical time range of your lock? You want all of those explained to you by your lender. And if you're getting 3 quotes, as I suggest, I want you to have that conversation with each of the lenders so you understand what your responsibilities are as far as it comes to rate locks. Because I've seen it vary. I've seen, lenders lock clients' rates for them. Well, I locked the rate. It was a good rate today. I went ahead and locked it. So you want to make sure you understand if you haven't, said, I want to lock my rate today, because sometimes the lender, almost as a service to you, may see that rates have dropped and then they go ahead and lock your rate. I've seen some lenders do that, again, without conversation with the client about the rate lock. Or they'll say, oh, we went under contract and we went ahead and locked your rate. So you want to make sure you understand what your responsibilities are with the rate lock and what your lender's responsibilities are with the rate lock. Let's talk about what happens if you lock your rate and then rates fall. You can, again, talk to your lender about floating down your rate. So meaning you can, for either a fee or for no fee, you can go ahead and unlock your rate and take the lower rate. But you want to discuss that with them prior so you know how that works. So again, you want to have the discussion with your lender. If I lock in my rate now, but rates drop during the time that I'm under contract for this home, what happens if I want the lower rate? And they can explain to you the floating down of your rate, called floating down your rate. Now, once you understand about how those rate locks work, then it's best to, again, sometimes interest rates don't fluctuate that much. But again, depending on the market, like a market that we were in right after the pandemic, rates are going to go up or down pretty quickly, over the first, over a couple of months, over a couple of weeks. So you want to make sure that you understand how rate locks work. Lastly, I want to mention that if you have locked your rate with one lender and you go to another lender and you're saying, I want to, go with your rate because your rate is lower, you're unable to get that lower rate with lender number one, you can switch to that second lender without penalty from that first lender. If you didn't, you may be out of your money if you paid to extend your lock up front. But in general, if you haven't paid the first lender, then you can go to another lender, get another loan. They can't penalize you for switching lenders. So again, be mindful of that and keep all of your options open as you decide whether or not you want to lock in your rate. I'm going to link below to a website that I recommend about the rate locking process, where they'll give you a recommendation based on what's happening in the economy and what's happening in the mortgage market. Also, I think you should watch this video next. It's going to tell you the questions you should ask your lender when you're deciding what lender to go with. Thank you so much for watching. Please put any comments down below or any questions that you may have. Please like and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week.